Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. Last time we got the safe ending. Today, we're about to get started on doing what we need to do for the true ending. Let's go. And yeah, I'm recording this one live because, well, there's story checks that need to happen, and with those come new dialogue and, yeah, just figure, you know, now would be a good enough time as any to do the, or just to do, like, the story thus far live. So, of course, here, Junpei is waking up in a, ship cabin. He's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. He's looking at his surroundings. The door is locked. There's a watch on his arm. Oh no, why does it have a 5? It won't come off. And he just remembered that something weird happened, and oh no, the window is breaking. Water is seeping in. I won't be doing this for the entirety of the thing. But yeah, so I'm just going to be speeding through these puzzles here. And, yeah, I don't know if I should, like, edit all of this out, or... Oh, that's the red one. I mean, I should, but I mean, you also need to see the story, guys. I mean, come on. And yeah, we're getting the flashback now of what happened when he got kidnapped. And, you know, we get to participate in the nonary game, or nonary game, however you wish to pronounce it. Okay. And yeah, I'm just, like, getting straight to the point here. Okay, and the blue one is 0263. I mean, I've done this how many times by now? I should freaking have these memorized. And yeah, we're learning about digital roots. Okay. And yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. Okay. And this one is 7485. And then we get more cards. Okay. So far, so good. And then doesn't work, and then doesn't work, and he's like, oh, of course, digital roots. And then there we go. All right. And so we were able to make it out of the third class cabin. And yeah, we're getting some more informative text as Junpei continues to look around his surroundings, and oh wow, there's people here. This one is going to be a pretty long stretch. We're a little bit removed from where the first story check is going to happen. Well, I say a little bit. It's going to happen in the next room. But of course, I'm also here to tell you, like, hey, what path is the correct path we need to take. But I did sort of foreshadow this in the previous part where I was like, oh, the rooms where they got those keys and key cards from, that seems very important. That was essentially the game sort of guiding you through, sort of like mentioning, like, these are the points of interest. Keep these rooms in mind. And we're going to be going through those rooms. I'm also going to be pausing for a second because, yep, okay, I will be right back. And back. I'm also very sorry if you can hear the ambient noise of a lawnmower in the background. It's freaking hot. I have the window open. I'm sorry. Hopefully that he will stop. I don't know, it's been a pretty busy day. Like, there's somebody getting work done on, like, the next house over, which was loud and annoying, and now a lawnmower, because why not? Also, the birds are very loud and active. But yeah, we're meeting up everybody, getting code names, and well, not the code names yet, but just getting prelim information. Oh, okay, yep, here come the code names. And then, you know, after our initial investigation, this guy, he's acting all weird and junk. And this is when, oh no, he has kidnapped Clover. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, and he forces people to open the door for him. He goes in himself, and we all know what happens there. That's what you get for being greedy, my dude. That wasn't really greedy, but just... Alright, well, that's what you get for being an asshole. And yep, here it is occurring. Okay. The explosion happened. Yeah, why not? I always had them check it. It's going to be the exact... essentially the exact same... no matter who you choose to open the doors. It'll just be like the two people in particular just doing their exclamations instead of Ace and Lotus being the ones to do it. So, yeah, we're just going through the process. He blew up, and now Snake here is going to explain how the game works. Yeah. You know, because since he's blind, Zero was like, you know what, I'll be nice. I'll throw you a bone. Can't see. I won't be an asshole. Alright, okay. So we're just going through here. I'm just waiting for the first choice. Because, you know, this is where we're all deciding that, yeah, we're going to have to go through the game. Try to escape, play by the rules, you know? So, please, I just want to get to the third class cabin. Oh, well, I kind of ruined it. But yeah, the first fork we're going to be taking door number 4. Because we need to get to the third class cabin. And subsequently, the kitchen. So yeah, just going through here, and we have decided that door 4 would be fine. That way we get to stay with June. Yay! And then we made sure that they were able to get in just fine. This is actually my second time in this entire LP going through door 4. That's... huh. That's actually surprising. But alright. We're almost done. Just going in. Everybody's all that. And then we got the doors there. Alright. Wow, there's a lot of dialogue here. So then they decided to split up and check the rooms. There we go. Okay. Okay, this one I might edit because I don't recall this one as well as the other ones. Alright, and here we are at the first story check. So, yeah. Hey Junpei, you got a minute? Santa has shown up out of nowhere and gave Junpei no small start. Here, take this. Santa pulled something out of his pocket. It looked like a bookmark. It had a 4-leaf clover in it. What is this? I found it in between some of the cushions on the sofa. Pretty sure it ain't gonna be any help to us, but I figured we might as well hang on to it anyway. Then why don't you hold on to it? Santa gave him a wry smile. You know what I hate most in the world? I got 4 things. Hope, faith, love, and luck. Hope, faith, love, and luck? Damn straight. And you hate these things? Yeah, you got a problem with that? Not really, but... Junpei tried to figure out how to best phrase what he wanted to say. What does a bookmark have to do with any of that? Santa scratched the back of his ear and looked awkward. Well, see, each leaf on the four-leaf clover has a meaning to it, okay? And that meaning is pretty much those 4 words. It's like a flower language. Well, I guess it's not a flower, is it? So a leaf language, I guess. Yeah, you could call them leaf words. Leaf words. Junpei looked at the bookmark. Hope, faith, love, and luck. So, yeah, I want you to take it, okay? Just touching it gives me the creeps. Take the damn thing, alright? Santa pretended to shiver with disgust and shoved the bookmark into Junpei's confused hands. Junpei? What do you want to do? This time, we're gonna take it. Decide to take it. After all, why shouldn't he? Alright, sure, I'll take it. He shoved the thing into his pocket and gave Santa a last confused look. Why are they yelling outside now? Can y'all shut the fuck up, please? Can y'all shut the okay. Phew. Man, I feel a lot better now. The thing was a real pain, you know. Do you really hate those 4 words that much? I'm not mad at the guys outside. They're just doing their jobs, but still, y'all ain't gotta yell though. Y'all standing right next to each other. I can see y'all. But yeah, well, they can all betray you, you know. Hope, faith, love, and even your destiny. What had happened to Santa? Junpei wondered. How did he become such a bitter person? For a moment, they looked at each other. Well, that's not my only reason. What? That's not the only reason I hate the 4-leaf clover. I just can't bring myself to like the number 4. What? Worried about the 4 horsemen? Nah. Come on, man, that's just silly. Maybe back in the Dark Ages that kind of crap scared people, but this is the 21st century, and I'm a 21st century guy. And why do you hate 4 so much? Because it's a half-ass number. What? Not the best or the worst. That's why. What? 9 is a way better number. So what if it's last place, right? At least it's not some lame-ass middle number. Santa's explanation made no sense. No. He's got a point. He's got a point. You know, 1, it's like, yeah, I'm number 1. You know, and 2 is like, 2 is better than 1. You know, takes 2 to tango, all that good stuff. 3, well, I've been told it's a magic number. 4 is just there. 5 is fun to count by, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20. You know. 6. Okay, I will admit 6 is kind of just there as well, you know, it's just not really doing much, but it's better than 4, I would say. You know, this is the number tier list. Hello, welcome. 7, I mean, come on, it's a lucky number. 8 is kind of there, but, you know, it's also fun to write 8s, and then, you know, if you put it on the side, that's the infinity sign, so, you know, double use right there. 9, I mean, come on, he is right. 9 is good. 9 is just really good. And, you know, multiplying by 9s, you know, it's just fun. You know, not to mention, every multiple of 9, when you add the digits together, it equals 9. I mean, come on. You know, for example, 2 times 9 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. Yo. Oh yeah, also another reason why 5 is good, you know, the song, I Got 5 on it. Yay! And 0, I mean, come on, it's 0. It's a wholesome number. Digit. It's not really considered a number, so it's a digit. But yeah, you know, you can't divide by it. But anything you multiply by it is always going to be 0. Alright. Junpei was even more confused than before. You play? Play? You mean like gambling? What, you mean like play the stock market? Gambling? You mean like gambling? Yeah, of course. What else would I mean? In Baccarat, the best possible hand total is 9. Call it the Legrand. But the lowest, most worthless cards, the zeros, they call monkey. Just like the guy in charge of this game, huh? Zero's a monkey. Santa blinked, utterly stunned. Then he began to laugh. Oh man, you're totally right. The guy who trapped us in here sure is one hell of a monkey. That was when Lotus spoke up. You know, if you think about it, the nonary game is really a lot like Baccarat. Apparently she'd been listening. Of course it doesn't use any of that stupid digital root junk. You just drop the tens digit, and that's it. Still, it does have the same idea of your final number needing to be a single digit. Oh, yeah, I guess you got a point. And in both games, whoever has 9 wins. The person who makes 9 wins? Did you forget already? Don't you remember what Zero said? The exit is hidden, but it is there. Seek the exit. Seek the door that carries a 9. So if we want to get off this boat, we have to make a team whose numbers have the digital root of 9. And only the people in the team are going to make it out alive. Of course. That's why it's called the nonary game. What? Huh? You don't know? Nonary means something derived from 9, or base 9. It's derived from Latin prefix nona, which means 9. While we're at it, the prefix for 1 is uni, or uni. You know, like the unicorn, the horse with 1 horn. 2 is bi, like binary. Binary means composed of 2 parts. 3 is tri, I'm sure you've heard that one plenty. Like trio, triplet, and triangle. You get the idea. After that you have quart, quinta, sext, septum, and so on. And of course the prefix for 8 is octo, like octopus. It's called that because it has 8 legs. Get it? I see. So then nona means 9. Lotus nodded. So how many of us are trapped on this ship? That'd be 9. And what are the bracelet numbers we have? They go from 1 to 9. Learning with Lotus! Yay! And our time limit? How many hours did we have? Zero said 9 hours. And finally, to get out of this ship, we need to find the door with a 9 that's hidden somewhere in the ship. By making a team with the digital root of 9. Lotus nodded again. And there you have it. The number 9 is everywhere in this game. It's got a real theme of 9s for this whole thing. No wonder it's called the nonary game. Somewhere far away, Junpei heard the creak of stressed metal. It sounded almost like Zero laughing at them. Or the sad, desperate scream of a pig headed to the slaughterhouse. Damn, that's a freaking whatchamacallit, I can't even talk. Analogy! There we go. Okay, Okay, and now we've made it out of that room. And we're going into the kitchen. But first we gotta go through all that, and there we go. Alright, once again I'm going to cut ahead because I remember nothing. Alright, second story check time. Junpei picked up the dry ice with his sleeves so as to avoid burning himself. Dry ice is just frozen carbon dioxide, right? Yeah, it is. I wonder how warm it has to get for it to turn back into gas again. Hell if I know. How's that going to help us anyway? Oh, well, I figured we might be able to use it to get out of here. They were about to move on when June spoke up. Carbon dioxide sublimation point is negative 109 degrees. Any warmer than that and it'll turn into gas. Any lower and it becomes a solid. Junpei looked at her, dumbfounded. How do you know that? Despite my looks, I'm the the queen of random knowledge. Looks bad to mess up when you're showing off. Argo mouth. Oh, you're so cold your mouth's going numb? Yef. Well, that's why. You're just doing that on purpose, aren't you? June giggled and did her best to hide her guilt. At least she was still feeling good enough to joke around, Junpei told himself. Come on, guys. Don't you think that's kind of weird? I wonder why it doesn't turn into a liquid first. Santa was now shivering at an astounding rate, but his curiosity seemed unaffected. Junpei, however, was not in the mood to discuss science. So this time, it did strike Junpei as a little odd. It did seem rather odd to Junpei, and he couldn't help but think about it. June answered, but it can turn into a liquid. Carbon dioxide turns to liquid if you put it under high enough pressure. But at 1 atmosphere, normal air pressure, it won't turn into a liquid, right? That's right. Instead of melting, it'll do what's called sublimating and change immediately from a solid state to a gaseous one. See? That is weird. Water is a liquid between 32 degrees and 212 degrees. So why isn't that the case for carbon dioxide? June replied with an answer that stunned both of them. There's a kind of ice that doesn't turn into liquid when it goes above 32 degrees. I heard about it. Its melting point is 96 degrees. Ice with a melting point of 96 degrees? You mean there's water that freezes at 96 degrees? Yeah. Well, you could also look at it as ice that won't melt until it's 96 degrees. Water that freezes at 96 degrees? Ice that won't melt until it's 96 degrees. Junpei was cold as hell, but this was too interesting to ignore. He did his best to warm up by rubbing his arms and stamping his feet, and put the question to June. So, what's this ice with a melting point of 96 degrees called? I heard it's called Ice 9. Ice 9? Originally, Ice 9 was a made-up substance invented by a science fiction author. But recently, scientists have discovered that such a substance actually exists. Wait, hold up. So is this thing called Ice 9? Or is it water? Like I said, if the ice is over 96 degrees, it'll be liquid. If it's under that, it'll solidify. So you could think of it as a polymorph of H2O. Here, think of it like diamonds and graphite. They're both made of carbon, right? But depending on the structure of the crystallization, the hardness and structure are completely different. So you're saying normal water and this Ice 9 are like that? Yep. She wasn't finished. Have you heard the story about the crystallization of glycerin? For 150 years after the discovery of glycerin, people cooled it, warmed it, and did all sorts of things to it. But whatever they did, it never crystallized. However, one day in 1920, some glycerin that was en route to England by ship was discovered to have crystallized during the trip. Naturally, scientists worldwide wanted to research this new crystallized form of glycerin and began asking for samples of the seed. A seed is, of course, a sample of the original crystallized substance. With a seed crystal, further crystallization of glycerin would be a simple matter. However, something very strange happened. Not only did the glycerin encouraged by seed crystals begin to crystallize, nearby samples did as well. It didn't end there. After that day, all glycerin in the world began to crystallize naturally when cooled to less than 64 degrees. Before that day, no matter how glycerin was cooled, it refused to crystallize. But once the crystallization had begun, it was almost like, how do I put it? It was almost like all the glycerin in the world was communicating. Communicating in some way that we can't sense. Junpei. This actually doesn't matter. Was honestly impressed. Let's try to suck up to her. It was, in fact, a pretty interesting story. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, that's pretty interesting. But, what does that have to do with Ice 9? To his surprise, it was Santa and not June who answered. What she's saying is that it's a lot like Ice 9. What happened, I mean. A lot like? That would be bad. If water everywhere started freezing at 96 degrees, man, it'd be the end of the world. Junpei felt that Santa might not be treating the idea of the end of the world with proper concern. But it's all hypothetical, my dude. At any rate, We're not gonna have to worry about the end of the world unless we can get out of here pretty damn quick. He was right. Junpei shivered. Alright guys, I think that's enough of that. I didn't think we'd get quite this far off topic. I mean, I know I'm kinda at fault here, but we can't be screwing around anymore. Seriously. I might go by the name of Santa right now, but I didn't grow up in Iceland. I freaking hate the cold. So let's get cracking, alright? We gotta find a way out of here. Santa stomped off, clearly doing his best to pretend the cold wasn't affecting him. Selfish, isn't he? Thought Junpei to himself. Still, Santa was right, and it was high time they got back to their search. The story of Ice 9 had him interested, but there'd be time to think about that once they'd gotten out of the freezer. Junpei looked at June, nodded, and resumed his search of the room. Selfish of him to not want to freeze to death. Okay, Junpei, wow. Okay, so now that we made it out of the kitchen, we're just exploring around. We see that the gate is up. And sooner or later we're going to make our way to the big hospital room. Can't remember if they get here first or if everyone else is already there. Oh, yep, they got there first and then they checked the doors, but oh no, the guts are missing from each of the things. So, yeah, you know, they're still trying. In futility. And then that's where everybody else arrives. And they talk about what went down. And so now they're about to go ahead and check to see if they can find the missing parts to the doors. Oh, but first we need to learn about the gigantic from 7. Because we already discussed in the whatchamacallit, third class cabin with June how, was that the third class cabin? Yeah, how the no, that was in the freezer in the kitchen where she was like, oh, the futility, it sort of predicted that the Titanic was going to sink and blah blah blah. So yeah, they all get back. They don't know where Snake is. And so they go look for him. They don't find him. Clover gets sad. Very, very sad. And so now we're checking. We're just going through all the motions here. Yeah, we'll just talk to Ace, because he's acting pretty sus, if I do say so myself. And so then we're going to the casino. And there's Lotus, who wants to form an alliance so that we can get out. Team up with 7. All 4 of us can get out together. But, yeah, you know, we're going to get back to her on that. We're going to get back to her on that. And then we explore some more. We're going to check out the, oh yeah, first class cabin. And there's Clover. Let's talk to her. But oh no, she's big sad. Big sad indeed. And then, yeah, just go back there. Oh, I never did it from right there? Okay, yeah, that's probably the best idea. Alright. Can I fast forward? Thank you. Alright, and then there's Santa, who's just being all, like, suspicious of everybody. Is like, oh yeah, Zero probably did this. You know. So yeah. Now we're done. And then we're about to go through the motions of, like, Lotus saying we should just go ahead and, like, go through the doors. But, oh no, we're gonna leave someone behind. And then that's when Ace is like, I'll do it. I'll sacrifice myself. And he injects himself with something to put himself to sleep so that no one can change his mind about it. But alright. With that, we're going to be getting closer to our next door decision. And if you recall, in the safe ending, where 7 said he got a particular key from, this time, we're going to be going back through the operating room. It's been a while. It's been a while. And that would be door 7. Which means, unfortunately, he won't be able to team up with June. But he'll be fine. So we got the team of Clover and 7. Oh, yeah. And now we're about to be entering the operating room. They're fighting, but they're going to have to work together. We're all going to have to work together to get through here. Oh yeah, I definitely don't remember this puzzle. I'm definitely going to be cutting ahead on this. But okay. Let's go. Alright, and looks like it's time for story check number 3. You think we should go back? Yeah, I think that's probably best. Clover nodded and left. Junpei was about to follow her when he realized that 7 wasn't following suit. Hey 7, what's up? Oh, well... He looked up at Junpei distractedly and then back down at the brown bottle he had cupped in his large hands. What's that? In response, 7 tossed the bottle gently to Junpei. He caught it and twisted it around to read the label. Ethylene diamine tartrate? EDT. It's tartatric ethylene diamine. What kind of medicine is that? It's not medicine. I think it's an industrial strength detergent. Why would they have something like that here? Well, probably to clean stuff up. Clean what up? Fuck if I know. Still, it looks like it's cleaned my brain up. Junpei looked up from the bottle. You remember something? 7 nodded slowly and spoke. Well, I remember a story about EDT. It happened about 50 years ago. There was this factory somewhere in America making big old EDT crystals. They were making it to sell as an industrial strength cleaner like I told you before. But a year after the factory started up, something strange started happening with the crystals they were building. Water molecules started attaching themselves to the EDT crystals. This made them into sort of a mutation of the original crystals called a hydrate. Once the crystal turns into a hydrate, though, it's useless as a cleaner. The factory had to just dump the crystals as a hydrate. They were useless. But it didn't end there. After that day, the same thing started happening in EDT factories everywhere, even ones nowhere near that first American factory. They'd been making crystals the same way, with the same materials and the same equipment and environment, but now all of a sudden, every single crystal they formed turned into a hydrate. In fact, ever since that day, no factory anywhere has been able to make a pure EDT crystal. Even in EDT research done years before, they'd never gotten a hydrate. But after it happened at the first factory, it just spread. It was like, man, how you say it? Like the molecules were communicating with one another, transmitting information in a way humans couldn't perceive. This phenomenon spread throughout the world, right? Junpei looked up at 7 with half a smirk. 7 stared at him, dumbfounded. Yeah, that's it exactly. But how did you know? I heard another story kinda like that one. When? In the freezer. What? The freezer? Junpei told 7 the story he'd heard from June in the freezer in the kitchen. How one day glycerin began to crystallize, and the story of ice that wouldn't melt at room temperature. When Junpei was done, 7 looked thoughtful and absent-mindedly rubbed the scar on his chin. Ice that doesn't melt at room temperature, huh? That sounds familiar? Yeah, hold up. I feel like I can remember something. It's right there. 7 squinted. His eyes stared off into space as if he were trying desperately to focus on something far away. Do you... And then for this one, I'm gonna ask him if he knows a little something about Ice 9. Do you know about Ice 9? Ice 9? Ice 9. Ice 9. Ice, baby. Suddenly 7's eyes shot open. That's it! I remember now. That woman! She's on this boat! That woman? Alice! Who's Alice? Come on, the woman who won't melt at room temperature. It became clear to Seven that Junpei had no idea what he was talking about. He ran his hand across his face and took a deep breath. You know how the Titanic sank on April 15th, 1912, right? Yeah. More than 1,500 people died. Worst maritime accident in history. What about it? Did you hear about the boat that was sent to collect the dead bodies? I think that was the RMS Carpathia, right? It was a cruise liner just like the Titanic. No, that was the ship that picked up the survivors. The ship that collected the dead bodies was the CS Mackay Bennett. The Mackay Bennett showed up on April 17th, 2 days after the accident. It set out from Halifax, a port in Canada, and recovered 306 bodies. The Atlantic that far north was really cold. It would have to be for there to be icebergs and stuff. Anyway, the bodies they pulled out of the water were frozen solid. This isn't a very nice story. So what happened next? Oh my god, Junpei. Well, they say the Mackay Bennett recovered something more than just dead bodies. There were various bits of stuff floating around in the water. Things to drown it carried with them, or stuff dislodged as the ship sank. One of the things they found was a coffin. A coffin? Yeah, a wooden one. The craftsman who'd made it must have been pretty skilled. It wasn't just a wooden coffin, it was all wood. There were no nails or reinforcements, and there were no gaps in the wood anywhere. It was airtight. The crew got pretty curious about what might be inside it and opened it up. They had to get a wedge and hammer it open. It was so well made. Inside, they found a woman. Or I guess you should say they found the dead body of a woman. Huh. And didn't June bring up some stuff about mummy's curses that I skipped over, but you might recall from the third class cabin? Her hair was thick and black, and her skin was deep brown and didn't show any signs of age or decomposition. They say that she looked gorgeous, like a goddess. Oh, wait, well, I know this is Seven recounting this, but I usually do real voice for these segments. She was obviously dead, but everyone who looked at her says she just looked like she was sleeping. Her skin was so lifelike, she looked like she might wake up any minute. She didn't, though. Like the rest of the bodies they found, she was frozen solid. Eventually, the Mackay Bennett finished the search and returned to Halifax. The 306 bodies were unloaded and taken ashore. However, it was warm enough that they began to melt. They say that the stink was horrible. But there was one body that didn't thaw. The girl in the coffin. That's right. Everybody thought for sure that she'd melt and start to rot like the rest of them eventually. But weeks passed and nothing happened. Then a month had passed and another, and it was summer, and she was still frozen solid. After a while, people started to say she was some sort of miracle. Rumors about the girl started to spread, and people came to visit Halifax from all over. After a while, people started to call her All Ice. Alice. Or would it be Alice? Alice? Of course, those rumors didn't last long. Why? Well, she up and disappeared. One day Alice was there, the next day she wasn't. They say someone snuck into where they were keeping her and stole the body. With the body gone, the rumors followed pretty quickly. After a while, no one remembered her. You might be able to find something about her if you could find a newspaper from back then, but that's about it. Wait, you just said that she was on this boat. Yeah, I did. Alice has got to be somewhere on this ship. And why the hell would you say something like that? Because I know. And just what is it you know? What happened to Alice after she was stolen? Junpei gulped. Alright, tell me. What happened to Alice? Seven nodded slowly and took on the look of a man recalling something long buried. Well, around that time, the word was that there was a thriving black market in New York. I mean, I'm sure there still is, but this was special. All millionaires from all over the world. I've heard that Alice went up for auction there. The person who won the auction was Lord Dashiell Gordain. You've heard that name before, right? Sir Gordain, who had replicas of the Titanic. He was obsessed with everything Titanic related. Isn't he the guy who bought the Gigantic? The Titanic sister ship? Because, yeah, he brought up that with the Gigantic. Yeah, that's him. Although I guess he hadn't done that yet. What do you mean? Gordain bought Alice in 1912. Then 4 years later, in 1916, he bought the Gigantic. And he hid Alice somewhere on the Gigantic. Nobody knows where. He died in 1931. And apparently he died without ever telling anyone where Alice was hidden. However what? Well, he did have one close friend who asked him, "Where is Alice?" And he said, "Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge, beneath the navel of the Gigantic." What the hell is that? Some kind of riddle? Your guess is as good as mine. Seven threw his hands up in defeat. So that's it. Whatever you think, I believe it. She's hidden somewhere on the Gigantic. In other words, she's hidden somewhere on this ship. Before Junpei could dispute Seven's rather bizarre claim, they heard Clover's voice from the door. She did not sound pleased. Hey, what are you two doing over there? Stop wasting time and get over here. Okay, we're coming. Ugh. Seven looked at Junpei. Yeah, so anyway, that's the story. It might be useful someday. Don't forget it. With that cryptic remark, he turned and left the room. Junpei was left behind to ponder what he just heard. He tried to remember what June had told him earlier. That mummy wasn't just a normal mummy. They say that she was frozen. The story says that from the time of its discovery all the way through to when it got put on the Titanic. And even though it was carried through the desert, her body never melted. Was that Egyptian priestess Alice? Had the water in her body become Ice 9? No, that's nuts. There's no way somebody like that could exist. Junpei shook his head, trying desperately to clear it, and followed Seven to the operating room, where Clover was waiting. Ooh, that was long. Alrighty. Okay, so we solved the puzzle, but then when we were opening the door, Seven was like, "Where's Clover?" And now it's time for the fourth story check. He found her standing next to the operating table. She was staring at the mannequin. "Hey Clover, what's wrong? Come on, let's get out of here." She didn't respond. If she hadn't been standing up and breathing, Junpei might have thought she was dead. "What are you doing? Did you want to come back here and say goodbye to John?" It wasn't the best joke, but it was something. An attempt to lighten the mood. Clover didn't laugh. She stood stock still and said nothing. "Hey Clover, can you hear me?" Perhaps it was something perhaps it was something he'd said, or perhaps it was something else. Like her brother being missing? Suddenly her mouth opened and she whispered in a dry, dead voice. "My brother might be dead." Huh? That's why we couldn't find him. If he's dead, I'm gonna be next. Suddenly the operating room felt very, very cold. What are you talking about? What's wrong with you?" He gave her a small shake, but she still didn't respond. The silence grew heavier. "Junpei, what do you want to do?" "Let's give her the 4-leaf clover." Oh yeah. He didn't know why, but suddenly Junpei remembered something he'd been given earlier. He reached into his pocket and dug it out. A 4-leaf clover. Santa had given it to him in the second-class room. He held it out to Clover. "Did you know that each leaf on the 4-leaf clover means something? Hope, faith, love, and luck. Take it. Use it as a good luck charm. He pressed the 4-leaf clover into her hand. Listen to me, Clover. No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck. That is the cheesiest shit. Snake, I mean your brother, he's not dead. He's alive somewhere, I'm sure of it. You've just got to believe in that. Clover stared at the 4-leaf clover in her hand. He could see tears start to form at the corners of her eyes. Thank you. Her voice was tiny and broken, and as she spoke, she started to cry. She tried to hide her tears by looking at the floor, but it did little good. She wiped away tears with the baggy arms of her jacket, but more quickly took their place. No matter how she tried, she couldn't stop crying. Her tears made small wet circles on the floor. Thank you. She said it again. Then she looked up at Junpei and seemed to choke down the last of her grief. She did her best to smile. Junpei wiped an errant tear from her cheek with his thumb and gave her the best smile he could manage. Now come on. Seven's waiting for us at the exit. But still, she didn't move. Wait. Before we go, there's one thing I want to ask you. What's that? What do you think when you hear the word experiment? For a moment his mind froze. Then he came back to his senses and realized the word meant nothing to him, aside from the dictionary definition. What? Oh. Huh. I guess it was just a coincidence then. I mean that you knew about the 4-leaf clover. Look, I'm sorry, I don't want to be a jerk, but you're making less than no sense right now. Oh, no, it's nothing. Just forget about it. Oh, don't give me that. You really think I could just drop this? What is this experiment you were talking about? Clover looked away. The 4-leaf clover was still in her hand. She stared at it for a long moment and then finally spoke. You promise you won't tell anyone? Cross my heart. Really? Really. I can trust you, right? Of course you can. Clover slipped the 4-leaf clover into her pocket. Her eyes still red from crying, she looked up at Junpei. Okay then, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened on this ship 9 years ago. Wait. On this ship? Yeah, this ship. He was entirely lost. He had 1,000 questions, but it was probably best, he thought, to save them until Clover had finished. It was an experiment to test some sort of psychic thing. Something about communicating through these fields that you can't see. Fields that you can't see. He'd heard something like this before. Clover nodded. Like, think about this. She pointed at the operating table. On top of it was a somewhat mismatched medical mannequin whose parts had been swapped with another mannequin. This is John, right? But is he really John? All Junpei could think was she has finally completely lost it. Isn't this like Locke's socks? Or the Ship of Theseus? Junpei grew even more confused. He never heard of either of those things, although they sounded smart. You don't know? You haven't heard of those paradoxes? Junpei shook his head. Clover laughed. Okay, well pay attention then. This is how Locke's socks works. Let's say I've got a pair of socks. They're my favorite socks. One of them gets a hole in it. What would you do if that was your sock, Junpei? I mean, I would just continue to wear it myself. It's like, I don't give a damn. Nobody sees my socks. But, yeah, patch it up. Well, I guess I'd patch it up. Get some cloth and close up the hole. But what if another hole opens? I'd add another patch, I suppose. What if another hole opened after that? Another patch, I guess? Well, let's say you just keep adding new patches. Until eventually the original cloth of the sock is totally gone. Once you get to that point, can Can you really say that they're the same socks you started with? That's tough. Junpei crossed his arms. So, that's the locks socks thing? Yeah. The Ship of Theseus is a lot like it. The Ship of Theseus. If you keep fixing the damaged parts of a ship, eventually it ends up with none of the parts it started with. Can you really say that ship is the Ship of Theseus that you started with? And what if you took all the old parts from the first ship and built another one somewhere else? Then which ship is the real Ship of Theseus? The one you repaired, or the one you built with all the original parts? It was an interesting question. Clover could see Junpei was intrigued. Hey, do you think it's the same? What's the same? These guys. Is this John? Or is it Lucy now? Junpei looked at the operating table again. A mannequin full of body parts from a different body. Clover had been right. It was just like Locke's socks and the Ship of Theseus. The part of the body that holds a person's identity is the head. Of course, for many hundreds of years, conventional wisdom had held that a man's identity resided in his heart, or any of a number of internal organs. John's head and heart were both his. But apart from that and a single arm, the rest of his body had once been Lucy's. Was that mannequin really John? We're just like these mannequins. She looked at Junpei again. Think about it. The cells in our body change every day. Old ones die and new ones are born. Maybe part of my arm is made of stuff from a fish I ate once. Or maybe part of your right side is made from a cow you ate. If you take it a little further, those cows and fishes are made from something else too, right? That's how we're all connected. Through fields that can't be seen with the naked eye. The silence was broken by Seven. Hey! What the hell is taking you two so long? Seven's head appeared in the doorway. He was not happy. How long are you going to make me wait? We don't have time to screw around. Junpei and Clover looked at each other. Clover looked at Junpei as if to say there was more she wanted to tell him. She shook her head. Whatever she had to tell him, she didn't want to tell him in front of Seven. Seven seemed to catch on. Oh, what were you two doing? Was this some sort of secret meeting? No, it wasn't. We were just playing with the mannequins. Huh? Let's go, Junpei. Moving a little bit too fast to be entirely innocent, Clover headed toward the exit. Seven stared after her, then turned to Junpei with an amused expression. Playing with the mannequins, huh? Didn't know you were into that kind of thing, Junpei. You're a dick. Junpei dashed past him and traced Clover's path out the door. With a short laugh, Seven followed. They stood looking at the door. Junpei took out the Jupiter key. Jupiter! Alright, I'm going to open it now. Is that cool? You don't need to keep asking. Just do it, alright? Heh, fine then. He slid the key into the keyhole and turned it. He felt it unlock. The door opened with a soft, melancholy creak. Beyond it lay a simple white hallway. There was no fanfare or confetti. Obviously, there was no one there to applaud them. They simply walked through the door. That was it. Alright, let's get going. Hey man, what's up with you? You're so serious, you know. Can't you sound more happy? You know, get a little excited. Not really. Junpei turned away from Seven and took his first step down the simple white hallway. My brother might be dead. I'm going to be next. Clover had told him only a few minutes before that her brother was probably dead, and she was likely to follow him. How could he pretend to be happy after hearing something like that? And now we made it out. of that. So everybody meets back up. And then we reconvene in the hospital room and update Ace on everything that happened. Although I'm just watching to see how this plays out. Are we still going to go through... Oh, so it's about the key. Ain't that what I just said? Talking about the Jupiter key. We found it in the operating room. Right, Junpei? Junpei nodded. Ah, that's the solar system keys. Actually, we found one in the laboratory, too. Here, the Earth key. Okay, well, to be fair, they would give this, like, little reconnection thing no matter, like, what path you take. But it is interesting how, by going towards the safe exit, they pretty much spell out the rooms you need to go through for the true ending. Lotus dug out a still warm key with an Earth symbol on it. She dug it out from where? Why is it warm? Yo, what? I might lose it. It's probably better if you hold on to it. That way it won't be my fault if it gets lost. And with that, she pressed it into Junpei's hand. He felt slightly less than honored. As a group, they now had 3 keys that had not been used. The Jupiter key, which had been found in the operating room. The Saturn key card, which had been found in the kitchen. The Earth key, which Lotus had just handed to Junpei. And now we're talking... Oh, yep, and Clover, she still wants to go through door 3 because 7 might be there. Or not 7, Snake. And so we go explore a bit while they're investigating. If there's any reason? Of course there's a reason. Because of those keys, my dude. Pay attention, Santa. And then, of course, we get the elevator scene again. Yeah, they can only go down because, ooh, she's afraid of drowning. Let's not make this more horny than it needs to be right now. Because it was getting real horny. Real horny. You know? Alright. But yeah, we explore down there. And we find door number 6. Whoa. But yeah, we meet back up, and then, yeah, we can't go through the doors, so we just go back, and oh no, they found something very bad. Snake's dead. Or is he? Because we know a certain ending. But yeah, there's a corpse there. You know, it's pretty messed up. And so they think, yeah, someone had to gang up to kill him. Right. Junpei wasn't sure. Yeah, let's play it nice. Let's not make any sudden decisions. That's possible. Oh, even though this is causing, like, you know, them... Sort of like the whole, oh no, we're being suspicious of each other. But I mean, come on, man. After some of these endings, it's like, come on. But anyway, it's time to decide where to go next. And this time... Oh yeah, they're fighting because we're like casting lots trying to decide where to go. So yeah, this time I like how door 2 is still lit up because the one time I took the door 2 ending, or like yeah, the only time I took door 2 was like when I was locked into it from the shower room. But yeah, we're gonna go through door 1. And yeah, Junpei had, like, fudged the results to get the door he wanted. That pig, you just wait and see. Oh, yeah, because she got insulted. So, we're going to be going through door 1 with June, Clover, and Ace. So, I'm going to go ahead and get through the chart room and the captain's quarters. And I'll see you all in a bit. Unless there's new dialogue that happens at some point. Oh, wait. Well, not a problem, but it was a lie. All Junpei wanted was to get rid of Ace. He'd sent Ace to the wheelhouse at the beginning for a reason. That was something he meant to ask Clover, and he meant to ask her in private. There was something he wanted to ask Clover, and he didn't want anyone else to hear him ask it. Wait, is it just... Wait, is there no June? Is it just... Wait, 1, 5, 6... Where's 10? There's 1. Oh, yeah, it is just, Ace, Clover, and Junpei. I was just dumb. I can't count. Okay. He also knew that Clover would likely remain silent if there were anyone else around when he asked. That was why he was so desperate to send Ace back to the wheelhouse. Ace opened his mouth, then another look, small smirk, and was like, yeah, now he's like, oh, I see, you want to get with her. Oh, yeah, alright, yeah. Phew. Junpei let out a sigh and brushed a few drops of sweat from his forehead. He turned and found himself looking straight into Clover's eyes. She'd heard what Ace had said. She regarded Junpei with caution. Okay. What was that about? She was clearly suspicious, and with good reason. Junpei's eyes widened, and he held up his hands in a gesture of innocence. Oh, no, it's not like that. What's it like, then? I just wanted to hear the rest of that story. I didn't get a chance to ask you about it until now. What story? About the experiment. Remember the one you started to tell me in the operating room? You said something about an experiment that happened here 9 years ago. Clover bit her lip. She stared down at the floor for several long moments, and when she spoke, it was barely audible. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm just not in the mood, okay? You understand, right? I keep thinking about my brother. I can't stop. I mean, who would do something like that to my brother? I can't forgive them. I'm not going to let them get away with it. They're going to pay for it, I promise. So... Her shoulders were shaking. Drops of blood had sprung up on her lips where she was biting them. She wiped it off and looked up at Junpei, her eyes fierce and angry. Junpei, who do you think did it? Her voice was cold and scarcely above a whisper. Junpei gulped. Well, if what Seven said was right, then there would have to be at least 2 of them. You need at least 3 people to open the numbered doors, and if you subtract Snake, that means there were at least 2 other people. You're right. So what does that mean? Well, if we just look at the bracelet numbers, we should be able to figure it out. Who could have opened door 3 with Snake? Or really, who and who, or who and who? You mean it could have been 4 people? Well, technically it's possible. I don't know. That doesn't seem very likely. Why? I'll tell you later. Why don't we just assume it was only 2 other people for now? Okay. Got it. Let's do that then. And who do you think it could be? Junpei crossed his arms and thought. Snake's bracelet number was 2. Which 2 bracelet numbers added to 2 would give a digital root of 3? Oh my freaking Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, alright, 2 plus 1 is 3 plus... Okay, 2 plus 1 plus 3. No, that's 6. 2 plus... Alright, 3 plus 6 is 9. 3 plus 7 is 10, and that's 1. 3 plus 8 is 11, and that's 2. And then we got the Santas, so... No, 3 plus 2 is 5. So 5 plus 6 is 11. Ooh. 5 plus 7 is 12, and that's 3. 5 plus 8 is 13, that's 4. Then June, so 2 plus that is 9. 9 plus 7 is 16. No. 8, I'm sorry, I can count. 8 plus 6 is 15, that's 6. 8 plus 8 is 16, and that's 7. And 7 and loaded. 1 plus 7 is 8. No, 2 plus 7 is 9. Plus 8 is 17, and that's 8. So it could have been Ace and Lotus, or it could have been Santa and June? Also, one moment, please. And back. Okay, I'm also noticing that 7 in Santa isn't an option. Oh, wait, also, I'm freaking stupid because I can't count. It's not a digital root of 2, they're trying to get a digital root of 3. Why am I being suspicious of these two? It's 11. Oh my freaking god, my math is so bad. Alright, I need to go through this again. Give me a second. Yeah, okay, it's Santa and 7. Would it be Santa and 7? 2 plus 3 plus 7 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 3! It's a magic number. Could it be? Or Santa and 7 the killers? What's wrong? Clover looked at Junpei and he looked back at her. There was no point in hiding it. He told her his conclusions. That's what I thought. She looked less surprised than he'd expected. Santa and 7? If it was 2 people, then that's the only combination that works. Hey, wait a minute there. Don't you think it's a little too early to be jumping to conclusions? Well, all I said is that those 2 would have been able to open door 3 with your brother. There might be other possibilities. Well, what other possibilities? He didn't have an answer. He was ready to admit defeat when Clover spoke. Are you saying you think it was 3 or 4 people? I really don't think that's likely. Why? Can I borrow your pen and paper? Clover put her hand out expectantly. Junpei pulled out his pen and pad of paper and handed them to her. She opened the notebook and wrote down several simple addition problems. Eventually, she had 8, which provided a digital root of 3. 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 6 equals 12. 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus 5 equals 12. 2 plus 4 plus 7 plus 8 equals 21. 2 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8 equals 21. 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 7 plus 8 equals 21. 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 equals 21. 2 plus 1 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 equals 21. 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 7 equals 21. What's this? These are the combinations for 3 or 4 people. These 8 combinations are the only possible ones. I see. Junpei? Yeah? I can trust you, right? Of course. Why would you need to ask that? Really? Yeah. So then I should get rid of B, D, G, and H, right? Of course. Just cross them out. You should take off yours too, the ones with 4. So what does that leave? A and E. 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 6 equals 12. 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 7 plus 8 equals 21. Wait, it can't be A. Why not? Because June's in that one. There's no way in hell she'd do something like that. Are you sure? I'd bet my life on it. Okay then. And I can cross off A too, right? Yeah. Well, what have we got left? E. 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 7 plus 8 equals 21. Do you know what this means? Everyone besides me, you, and June would be working together. Do you think that's likely? If there were 4 people working together, they wouldn't be very cautious. I don't think they'd try that hard to hide what they were doing if they outnumbered us, right? Well, you do have a point. And besides, if Ace and Seven are working together, they could have easily gotten rid of me when I went to the shower room with them. But they didn't. They didn't even try anything. If they were the killers, why wouldn't they? Her voice was calm, but Junpei had only to look her in the eye to know it was a forced calm. There were tears forming at the corners of her eyes, and she was blinking furiously to keep them back. Perhaps by attempting an objective analysis of who might have killed her brother, she had been able to distance herself from the harsh reality of his death. The more she struggled to act unconcerned, the more Junpei felt his heart tighten. Okay. Yeah, well, that does make sense. It seems pretty unlikely that it was as many as 3 or 4 people. Yeah. And that means there's a good chance it was Santa and Seven. That's how it looks. But why would they do it? There was a moment of silence. I think I know. What is it? He laid his hand gently on her shoulder. He was close. So close to the answer. When Ace chose the worst possible moment to return. He raised a knowing eyebrow and then spoke. Have I interrupted something? What do you want? There was something I wanted to speak with you about, Junpei. Could you come with me for a moment? He turned on his heel and walked back toward the wheelhouse. Junpei looked over at Clover. He gave her a short nod, hoped that she would be willing to talk to him again later, and followed Ace. What did you want to talk about? Also, one moment. Okay, never mind. Yeah, what do you want to talk about? Ace looked at Junpei and smiled. Perhaps more of a smirk than a smile. There was something I wanted to check. Yeah, what's that? If you'll excuse me. With no warning, Ace slipped his hand into the pocket of Junpei's vest. Hey! What the hell are you doing? He reached for Ace's arm, but it was already too late. In the older man's hand were the pieces of paper Junpei had balled up and hidden in his pocket. Just as I thought. You switched them, didn't you? When we voted. Ah, well, I can't say that I care. I managed to get through the number door I wanted despite your mischief. Why did you... Oh, simply curiosity. Hope you won't think ill of me for it. Ace smiled, gave Junpei a friendly pat on the shoulder, and then turned on his heel and left. It was a small defeat, but it was a defeat. Junpei had lost the upper hand, and he knew it. He could feel his stomach begin to tense. Okay. Okay. We're getting out of here and going to the captain's quarters. And there's a dead captain. Also wearing a watch, and there's an axe. And now to get through this. Oh, wait, okay. Because they're like, oh, you think that might be Zero? Well, even if he wasn't one of us, there's no way that man could be Zero. Don't you get it? The letters that spell Zero on the TV screen. The captain's clothes he's got on. And of course the bracelet with the 0 on it. It's too obvious. Look, this is Zero right here. This dead body is Zero. Doesn't that seem kind of funny to you? You're right. Only an idiot wouldn't see through something like that. No, that's not the point. I'm not trying to make fun of them for thinking a trick like this would work. I'm sure they didn't think it would work. Which makes me wonder, why did they do it? I think this is a challenge. A challenge from the person who's really behind all of this. He's making fun of us. Don't you get it? Whoever killed this guy really wanted us to think this corpse was Zero. They never put a bracelet on him. Walking about with a Zero bracelet would be like hanging a sign around your neck that said, I did it. Anyone with a brain will be able to see that this guy is supposed to look like everything Zero is supposed to be. Just like we did. The killer must have known we wouldn't think he was Zero and put the bracelet on him anyway. Do you know why? Why? Like I said, he's mocking us. Too bad, suckers. This isn't Zero. It's the same bad joke a lot of criminals like to play. They'll just sit back and watch people run in circles. Look, here I am. What's wrong, guys? Come on, catch me if you can. That's really twisted. But it almost seems kind of childish. Yeah, you're right. It's really childish. It's like it's just a game to whoever this person is. That's what seems funny to me. Junpei bent down next to the corpse. Alright, let's get back to the point. Who killed this man? I don't know. And what's this guy's deal? Who is he? How would I know that? If I knew anything, I would have told you. You have no idea who he is? Why would I? Junpei sat back on his haunches and thought. We should check and see if he's got anything on him that might tell us who he is. Give me a hand here, Clover. What? We gotta flip him over. How else are we gonna search his pockets? Clover didn't move. Junpei had no choice but to move the body on his own. He grabbed hold of an area not completely covered in blood and shoved. It took a moment, but eventually Junpei felt the man's bulk begin to shift. But just as it did, something fell from the man's left wrist. The bracelet with Zero on the face. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only two ways to do so. One, you escape from this ship. Two, your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship, or the text that its wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically. Junpei stared at the bracelet. This man, he's dead, isn't he? Huh? No, it's just, I guess I didn't really think about it until right now. If his bracelet's off, that means he's dead. Well, it's pretty obvious that he's dead. You don't really need to look at his bracelet to figure out that he's dead. Yeah, I guess you're right. It is pretty obvious. Looks a lot better than the other bodies we've seen, though, you know? I mean, if there wasn't all this blood, he'd almost look like he was still alive. I mean, I know it's kind of a messed up thing to say, but he kind of has it better, you know? Dying from a bomb going off inside you, I mean, that's just... Some of Snake's bones went right through his skin. I think the explosion must have thrown him against a wall or something. There was a broken bone just sticking out of his left arm. Suddenly, Junpei realized what he was saying. How could he have been so cruel? He clapped his hands over his mouth. But it was already too late. He turned to look at Clover. She was glaring at him furiously. What did you just say? Her words sounded cold. He knew an apology could hardly atone for what he'd done, but he tried anyway. Oh man, I am so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I really don't know what I was thinking. I mean, no, that's not what I'm talking about. What did you say about his arm? Arm? Yes, his left arm. You said it, didn't you? Well, yeah, I did, but... I mean, didn't you see it too? Of course not. I could barely look at him. Clover took a quick, deep breath. Are you sure it was his left arm? Junpei thought back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And he had a broken bone, right? What the hell are you getting at here? Just shut up and answer me. She shoved her face closer to his. He could see the fire in her eyes. Junpei winced and swallowed. Yeah, he did. It was pretty bad, too. The bone was sticking out of the arm. No sooner were the words out of his mouth that Clover's expression changed. Suddenly she was crying. Junpei wasn't sure what to do. Thank you. It was so close to the last thing he had expected to hear. Or it was close, not so close. Junpei had no idea what had just happened. He didn't think he'd done anything worthy of thanks, and he couldn't understand why she would have chosen that moment to begin crying. So he simply stood there confused. Thank you, Junpei. She thanked him again, and then something even stranger happened. Clover threw herself into Junpei's surprised arms. Hey, what's going on with you? I'm sorry, it's just... I'm so happy. Why? The body in the shower room. It isn't his. It isn't my brother. Huh? It's not Snake. Why on earth would you think that? Because his left arm is... She stopped herself. I'm sorry. I really shouldn't be talking about this. Junpei decided it would be prudent not to press her for any more information. If she did not wish to tell him, she certainly had a reason for doing so. Perhaps more importantly, however, if Clover was so certain, then she was likely right. That meant that the body in the shower room wasn't Snake. It wasn't much, but that knowledge lifted some of the weight from Junpei's heart. He's still alive. I'm so happy. Tears shone in her eyes. Those tears melted Junpei's heart. As she cried, she had pushed herself up against his chest, like a child. Junpei put his arms around her and held her tight. Junpei, you were right. No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith, and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck. Clover reached into her pocket and pulled something out. It was a laminated bookmark with a 4-leaf clover. I only made it here because you gave me this. I was suspicious of everybody and I was angry and miserable. Because I had this 4-leaf clover. Because of what you said to me, Junpei hadn't thought his words would have had such an effect on her. Her words were making him feel a little awkward. Thank you so much, Junpei. She looked up at him. He scratched his nose and pretended to notice something interesting somewhere else in the room. If you really want to thank somebody, you should be thanking Santa. Santa? Why? Well, he was the one who gave me that thing. And the words for each leaf, I got that from him too. Then suddenly, Clover broke away from Junpei. Huh? He looked confused. He hadn't thought she'd react that poorly. Clover began to pace across the room. 6 steps to the left, 6 steps to the right, another 6 to the left, and then she stopped. Did Santa really tell you those things? Her eyes were serious, but not angry. Yeah, he did. Did I, say something wrong? Oh no, not at all. In fact, this could be really good news. I think. You think? Santa knew about the words in the clover. The only people who should know about that are the other subjects. Subjects? The other people who were in the experiment 9 years ago with my brother and me. Well. But he's blind. And I was part of the Nevada test group. So neither of us would be able to recognize the faces of the people who were on this boat. Whoa, 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 whoa. Time out. Junpei held up his hands. He took a deep breath and let it out. Let's just calm down for a second, okay? Start from the top. Don't start with the end and then jump to the middle. You gotta start at 1 and then move to 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. If you don't tell me stuff in the right order, I'm never going to be able to figure it out. Clover nodded. Alright, let's start with this experiment. What happened on this boat 9 years ago? Do you know about morphogenetic fields? He did, and the realization sent chills down Junpei's spine. Alright, how about this? Theory of the telepathic mechanism. Junpei recounted what Lotus had told him earlier. Clover nodded. Telepathy, huh? Well, that's not really it, but I suppose it's similar. Oh yeah, because she went over that in the kitchen. So they were testing telepathy on this ship. Yeah, I guess so. So, what exactly did they have you guys do? Same thing that we're doing now. Exactly the same thing. What? The nonary game. 9 people were put on this boat, and 9 others were put in the building in Nevada, and the game started. Junpei grabbed the sides of his head. Look, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. What do the nonary game and some telepathy experiment have to do with each other? Clover bit her lip. She blinked back sudden tears. What had happened to her in Nevada? The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger. You know how sometimes when you're up against a really tough problem, then the answer just kind of pops into your head? That's an epiphany. And what you learn from an epiphany can be transmitted with telepathy. When you add danger to that equation, then it gets easier to transmit that information over telepathy. So you're saying the nonary game was supposed to introduce that element of danger? Yeah, but it couldn't be just any old danger. It had to be life and death. And someone did actually die. A girl. Junpei felt the sudden grip of despair on his heart. Something deep and distant and powerful squeezed, and for a moment he felt very, very empty and alone. She was on the boat with my brother. I was in Nevada, so I never met her, but I did hear her name. Her name was... The sound of the door opening was like a gunshot. Junpei spun around. Oh, my apologies. Seem to have disturbed you. Ace. You two must have strong stomachs. Can't imagine how you could stay in this room for so long. Ace glanced down at the floor, at the corpse covered in blood. At any rate, Junpei, will you be so kind as to come and help me with something? I'm having a little trouble and I could really use your assistance. Come on, it'll only take a moment. With that, he turned and walked back toward the communications office. Clover waited until he was out of sight, then spoke in a small, quiet voice. I don't want Ace to hear us. We can talk about this later. Huh? Hey, wait! Clover ignored him. From outside, Junpei could hear Ace calling. Junpei, what are you doing in there? Hurry up! Arg. Grumbling to himself, Junpei stomped off toward the communications office. Alright then. I guess I just start doing the puzzle some more then? All ice. That, oh snap. So, yeah, I solved the telegram puzzle and we got this book again with all ice on the side, or Alice, or whatever. All ice. Alice. Did that mean... Junpei couldn't hold back. He had to know what was in that file. Each page was covered with strange characters. They looked like tiny drawings of birds, snakes, insects, horned animals, wings, and even kneeling humans. There were many pages in the file, and each was full of these strange symbols. What the hell is this? He didn't realize he'd spoken out loud until Ace looked over at him. They are hieroglyphs, a form of writing used in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt? That's right. Can you read them? Of course. I can't. What would make you think I could? What the hell? Junpei flipped through a few more pages. It wasn't just 1 or 2 pages that were covered in the strange symbols. Every single page was covered in them. Trying to read them was pointless. Junpei wasn't going to waste any more time with them. He made to close the file, and something fell out. He bent down and picked it up. A key card. There was a symbol on it that reminded Junpei of the symbols for the Saturn and Mercury key cards. This one, however, had a dot in the center of the male symbol. Uranus. That's the Uranus symbol. Junpei looked over to see Ace examining the card. In addition to the Uranus symbol, there were 3 words engraved on the card as well. On the lower right, it said, Bottom Deck Library. This must be a key to the library on the bottom deck. You don't say, Junpei! So it would seem. The bottom deck. The library. Junpei remembered something he'd heard from Seven when they'd been in the chemical closet. Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge, beneath the navel of the Gigantic. Did beneath the navel mean the bottom deck? Did Forest of Knowledge mean the library? If it did, then was Alice in a room somewhere beyond the library? What's wrong? Junpei blinked. Only then did he notice Ace looking at him, curiosity and concern written across his face in equal parts. There was no reason for Junpei to hide his thoughts. He began to explain his theory to Ace. Then he stopped. It wouldn't make any sense if Ace didn't know who Alice was supposed to be. So he told Ace everything June had told him. About the Egyptian priestess, about Ice 9, and finally about the woman who wouldn't melt, who had been recovered from the Titanic disaster. He told him about how she had been called All Ice, which had eventually turned to Alice, and how she had been purchased by an English millionaire who called himself Lord Gordain, and how Gordain had hid Alice somewhere on the ship. And you think that he hid her in a small room beyond the library, on the bottom deck. Was that a misprint? For like, and how she was... Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess so. I see. Ace stared off into the distance, his hands slowly and absent-mindedly stroking his beard. After a few moments, his hands stopped. He turned slowly to look at Junpei, and his brows drew together. Junpei, have you heard of the term CAS? CAS? It stands for Cells Alive System. It is advanced technology for freezing and preserving organic matter. Put simply, is a technique that allows one to freeze things without the formation of ice crystals. Normally, if you freeze something fresh, water within its cells expands as it crystallizes, damaging the cell membrane. CIS, however, works differently. The object to be frozen is supercooled using magnetic fields, and then frozen instantly and uniformly, giving ice crystals no time to form. It was originally developed for the preservation of food, as an alternative to the normal freezing process. Now, however, there are rumors that it can be used for other things. What do you mean, other things? Well, there are obvious medical uses, but perhaps also space travel. Space travel? Are you serious? Also, I am very sorry that you have just been looking at a still screen for, maybe about a minute or so? Because I ran out of space. One moment. Alright, we're back. Space travel, are you serious? Surely you've heard of suspended animation, cryogenic freezing. It's a fairly common idea in science fiction, books, and films. People are sometimes frozen for especially lengthy journeys through space. That was when Junpei understood what Ace was suggesting. Whoa, wait a minute there. Ace looked at him and raised an eyebrow. Are you saying that Alice was frozen using that CAS thing? Well, I'm sure the possibility is quite low, but it is a possibility. If this special ice you call Ice 9 does indeed exist, and if CAS were used to freeze her into that sort of ice instantaneously, you think she could be alive? Well, I can't say for sure, of course. I'm only talking about possibilities. The melting point for Ice 9 is 96 degrees, right? If she were put somewhere where she could reach that temperature, that's nuts. Are you really saying she could have defrosted and started walking about? You're quite right. It does sound unbelievable. But if she had, then we would have an explanation for the man we found dead on the floor. You mean the guy dressed like a captain? Yes. He was dead when we found him. Clearly he was murdered. But if he was murdered, then by who? It couldn't have been one of us. That would be impossible. In order to enter the captain's quarters, one must first open door 1. That door that requires the Earth key prevented us from accessing door 1. Who was it that opened that door? Santa and Lotus. Right. Clearly the two of them could not have opened door 1, or any other door for that matter. Who else then could have done so? Junpei thought for a second. No, nobody. After Santa and Lotus had used the Earth key, they turned back and met up with Junpei and June, who had just returned from E-Deck. The four of them then proceeded to return to the large hospital room to reunite with Ace, Seven, and Clover. When Junpei and his team had gone into the shower room, Ace, Seven, and Clover had been left in the large hospital room, but they would have been unable to open door 1. Perhaps when Junpei and June had taken the elevator to door 2 then? No, that would have been impossible. They had been gone only 5 minutes. No human being could have run to the captain's quarters, killed the man in there, and run back in 5 minutes. It would be impossible for any of us to be the murderer. That being the case, who could have killed him? Wouldn't it make sense if his killer was someone who had been in the ship for some time? A person like that would know the ship well. They would know the locations of all the hidden passages and secret doors. The numbered doors would mean nothing to someone like that. It'll be a simple thing for them to enter the captain's quarters. You're saying the killer was Alice? It was Junpei's turn to raise an eyebrow. Ace drew his thumb across his lips thoughtfully. Well, this is all only one possible theory. All ice. Alice. Was Alice indeed somewhere on the ship with them? Junpei had only one clue. The key card in his hand. It would, he hoped, grant him access to the Forest of Knowledge. But beyond that, what waited for him beyond the Forest of Knowledge? Whatever might be there, however, would have to wait. At the moment, there was nothing Junpei could do. He gripped the key card tighter and shoved it deep into his pocket. Material, okay. Ooh, that was long. And what's that? Oh, okay. Alright, it's coming back to me now. Okay, I've just spelled out 0 in base 36. And now we're good to go. Stepped out of the captain's quarters and into another hallway. And we'll get more into that next time. 'Cause yeah, now we're entering what would have been the Axe ending, but with more information and new resolve. Namely, Clover now knows that her brother isn't dead. So where do we go from here? We'll find out next time. Oh, and plus we also have a key card for the library. Ooh. So yeah, I can't wait, because this is actually my first time getting the true ending, so I don't know what to expect. I am genuinely shocked I managed to stay like non-spoiled on this game for so long. I mean, it just goes to show you, you know, it's like, you know, people always complaining about spoilers. I mean, yeah, granted, you gotta, you know, watch out for assholes. Like, for example, when Kirby Star Allies came out and there were people who would do like, oh, here's all the bosses, and actually have the super secret final boss dead freaking center on the thumbnail. Yeah, those people are assholes. Like, people who like willingly spoil major shit like that or go out of their way to spoil people are assholes. But that said, it also isn't the hardest thing in the world to avoid particular spoilers if you want to remain unspoiled on a story. Just saying. But yeah, you know, it always depends on like how you get spoiled and like the level of the spoiler, because I always say this. It's like, even if you are spoiled on something, you know, like, it's not the same as knowing the journey and what led up to it and blah, blah, blah. And an example I always use is that I knew the, whatchamacallit, the, mastermind in Danganronpa 1. I knew that well before I even started playing the game. But then playing the game and seeing everything build up to that and the twists and turns and then even the reveal itself, it was just like mind-blowing to me. And I was just there like, dang, that was wild, yo. So yeah, you know, it always depends. But yeah, I've managed to stay unspoiled on the true ending for this game for so long. Even when I found a video that was explaining like why someone preferred the DS port of 999 to the HD port, he did say that like this video will contain spoilers, and he marked the spoilerific parts, so I just stopped watching the video when it got to the spoiler parts. Otherwise, if he hadn't mentioned that he marked where the spoilers would happen, I would not have watched the video. But yeah, and then he also was nice enough to have a non-spoiler version of the same video. But yeah, I'm rambling now, but yeah. I'm witnessing everything now. Well, I mean, even these story beats I was witnessing for the first time today. So I can't wait to see where this goes. Woo. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. And I'll see you next time for some more Let's Play 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. One ending that I have never seen. Goodbye.